Media Dialogues in 2022.
Hello, welcome to Media Dialogues on CNBC TV 18. I'm Anuradha SenGupta. On the show today, the spotlight is on the media agency business. A bunch of things have happened, will happen, which makes it a good time to have this conversation now. The next 5 years of IPL rights are going up for auction soon. BARC has started releasing news ratings since March after being suspended since October 2020, and digital media is dominating both the ad pie and our mind space. To understand all this and more, I'm joined today by Shashi Sinha, the CEO of IPG Media Brands in India. He was also appointed chairman of that industry body responsible for TV ratings, BARC, in March. Shashi, good to see you in the studio.
Thank you very much. I really look forward to this. Last time we came here was 2 years back, just before the pandemic, the lockdown was announced.
Yes.
And I said a lot of stuff there, which unfortunately for me came out to be true as president. So it's glad to be back with you.
There's so much to talk about. I've laid out some stuff on the agenda today, but I think let's start on the kind of year, since this is April and it's the start of the financial year. What kind of a year are you looking at where the media business is concerned, and how has the last 2 years, the experience that you faced, affected planning for business, budgeting, forecasting, being ready? I mean, we've started this year with a big war.
Yeah. So I think we have now figured out that there's no way of predicting the future. Last 2 years have been so uncertain.
Yeah.
In phases we would say, okay, now, and Indians being, and we particularly used to be very positive oriented, we'd say, okay, things are going to improve. They never did. And as you know, the media industry and the entertainment industry went through hell like everything else. 2 years have been flat. Virtually, we're not back to 2019 yet. So I would not want to predict. I will only put out certain trend lines. And amongst my industry, probably I'm slightly more conservative than others. At the beginning of the year, they all put out very high growth numbers. I have been careful.
What is your number?
I was saying about 10 to 12% growth is on last year, which is just about getting close to 2019. A lot of my colleagues put out about 20% or so. The war came. I see a lot of problems there because not only the war, even otherwise, the commodity prices were going up, be it oil, be it everything else, and our business is 50% FMCG, CPG, and then a lot of other categories which are affected. So when their input costs go up, they can't pass on everything to the consumer. When they don't pass on everything, they also look for costs. And A&M is the first thing they cut because in their mind...
And that still holds good.
I think it'll hold good. I mean, I hope and pray it's not right, but I think that's what is going to happen. So it's best to be realistic. Yeah. So I think about 10 to 12% if we get there will be very good. 10 to 12% is value included because as you know, volume growth is hardly coming. It's all value growth which is coming. So if we achieve 10-12%, which will get us just ahead of 2019 levels, we'd be happy. But it doesn't look very good at this point in time. It's a tough situation to be in.
So the last 2 years were extraordinary in terms of everything that you had to learn and relearn about the way to run a business. What were some of the things that you think it brought to light?
What the last 2 years has taught us, Anuradha, is that not to worry too much about if you go wrong. You have to adapt to the situation. So rather than getting your planning perfect, I mean, that's what I do. Look at, and do quick course corrections. Normally, the tendency is, especially of Indians, they wait for a pattern to emerge. Here the only way is to course correct, whichever way you can course correct. I mean, beyond a point, as I said to you last time, people costs are the last thing to affect. But the other costs and very other ways you can do, investments not to be made. So I think the only way to manage is to be fast and rapid in course correction. That's the only way. You can't plan otherwise. I mean, the way things are, there's no way you can...
Shashi, let's talk about the ad pie. Everybody's talking about digital going to be overtaking television. We know it overtook print almost a couple of years ago. And everything seems to be focused on digital. Do you think media agencies are ready for this complete changed role for digital media and, how it's got galvanized or catapulted to this numero uno position in the last couple of years?
So there are two parts to this answer. First is that, if you break digital into two parts, digital as in, and there can be many parts, but I'm for simplicity breaking it into two parts, the brand building part of digital and the performance part of digital. The brand building part, I'm not still sure whether it's gone past television. My personal view is that, and consider me old-fashioned because finally television has a lot of juice left. And for a lot of mass brands, television, digital plays a support medium. Where what has happened in the last 2 years, because of pressure on ROI and stuff like that, performance has become very big. And all the e-com companies, the companies that have done well are the companies in the digital space or e-com or whatever. Those are the companies, startups. They're the ones who understand performance. So if you look at it, total pie, definitely digital probably is bigger than television. But if you slice it, so if you see the brand building part of it, which goes, say, for example, a client of mine like Amul doing a brand campaign, then digital will be part of the TV campaign. It follows the trend of what's happening to TV, and I don't think it's bigger yet. Having said that, I think on the brand part, media agencies are well equipped. They are, answering the, they're ensuring that's integrated and the communication is integrated. On the performance part, each one of us have some strengths, some weaknesses. And there are a lot of standalone companies which are focused on performance. For example, I don't know what they call e-com as a part of performance.
Yeah.
But there are enough specialist companies which come in and do e-com for you and so on and so forth. So I think that's an area where large networks such as ours, we are a one-stop shop for everything. We'll do a little bit of everything. But are we specialists in certain areas? Not sure.
But do you need to be? Not yet, you think?
I'm not sure. No, we need to be, but I'm not sure whether we will, able to, because our whole mindset is different. So I think the answer will be partnerships and solutions. It'll be either acquisitions, but acquisitions over a period of time you run out. So finally, it's going to be about alliances.
Getting together for projects, getting
alliances,
specialists on for very specific tasks.
So if you say, there's a certain part of e-commerce, since I started talking e-commerce and building on that, so I say e-commerce now, we have capability we have built in over the last 12 months, 18 months, but we still don't have a delivery capability, so we planned that, So there's a lot of, you have to learn, come to, unlike our previous mindset that, everything is under one shop. You have under one umbrella or one roof. You have to come to the mindset that it has to be alliances, partnerships, whatever you can call them, loose, formal, structured, whichever way the alliances are.
Let's talk about the biggest broadcast property. We know that the IPL rights are going to be coming up for auction. The tenders are out, and the next couple of months are going to be really exciting till June, right? What are you making of this base price, which is over 32,000 crore rupees that the BCCI has fixed?
So it's a tough one. So I personally feel it's very high. It's we know what our clients are paying currently, and we know what the broadcaster makes or doesn't make, what the profit is for them. So, and I know we have to pay a premium for IPL. We are one of the, we pull above our weight on IPL. So it's not that we are we love IPL.
I know.
So we our clients are there. Many of our clients are there. But the fact is that the cost CPMs are still very high in spite of whatever premiums you talk about, all the impact, the quick build-up of reach. There's so many advantages, good for a launch platform.
Yeah, sure.
All that, in spite of that, there's a premium attached to it, which, okay, people are willing to pay. Now, the base price itself is double of what we are paying at this point in time, and then the gossip is that it may go up higher than the base price.
50,000, 45,000,
whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I can say any figure.
So no, that's what we also heard.
Put it out,
and therefore it is a supply and demand. Who wants what? So I don't know whether it will be advertising commercial logic which will work, or will it be distribution, or will it be, because see, globally sports subscription plays a critical role.
Yeah.
India, the subscription model is slightly suspect and complex.
Yeah.
It's a very peculiar model. So unless someone changes the game in subscription and looks at other revenue streams, advertising itself, I think it will be, as someone said to me, I will not name, but one of the biggest broadcasters said to me, if it goes above this at 40,000, 50,000, it will be a winner's curse, is what he said to me. Yeah. But unless there's some way they're thought through. So yes, 50% revenue comes in from subscription, which is the global model,
Then this base price is justified.
30, then even 40,000 crores is all right,
But but at India's subscription and ad ratio...
Yeah, if it's 80%, I mean, currently, whatever it is, my guess is it's about 80% advertising ratio. I'd be very worried for our sake and for client's sake if that's the base price,
The base price also worries you.
Yeah, absolutely. So 40,000 crores is again a pie in the sky, but even 32,000 crores worries me. And if you notice carefully, they also thought through it. If you see the difference, the TV price is higher than the digital price. Yeah. So they also realize that TV is still, I just appeal to, since I'm talking to your TV network, that TV is here to stay. It's not going away anywhere, even as per BCCI.
So do you want to stick your neck out and hazard a guess as to why the BCCI has been so aggressive about the pricing? Do they know something that we don't about how deep and how competitive the bidding will, deep the pockets are of the bidders, and how competitive and how much people want these rights? Or is it a case of actually, it could be the case of killing the golden goose?
Well, since I'm fond of cricket, I will not say, my rational mind says what you said in the latter, but my emotional mind is finally competitive pressures in a bidding And if someone has a strategy to, you know, on the basis of a lost leader, build his network or whatever, that is something which we cannot predict. I personally feel there is some factoring in a subscription which I have not understood. There is some, you know, that will the subscription get changed in the long run, and that's what. See, the dilemma is it's a catch-22. To get ratings, you need to ensure subscription is easier. You know, it's widespread.
Yeah.
You know, but the minute you make it widespread, you'll never make the money.
Right.
Subscription outcome. So it's a bit of a catch-22. Someone has to stick his neck out on that. So I personally am a bit concerned the high base price 32,000. But yes, everyone's saying why the numbers stack up. I don't know how they stack up. So I can't predict what I mean. I can't understand what logic BCCI and the consultants would have gone through. But for me, it's a steep number.
Allied to this, the ratings drop that we are seeing in the first 2 weeks of this current edition of the IPL. What are you making of that?
So, it's a hot seat I've got into a week. After that, the news ratings started and the IPL came. So, obviously, we're still grappling with it. So, I mean, and I'm speaking in my personal capacity, not as BARC, because I've still got to get a handle on this. But my sense is linked to what I said to you earlier. This whole thing of pay versus free, you know, that today, I mean, what government is, this country finally, government has a role to play.
Yes.
And the government has done what it's done to cap TV prices, which is, if I may say so on camera, is peculiar. I don't know anywhere else in the world
and
where...
it's a big pain point for the industry.
But I'm saying it myself that, you know, it's never done anywhere else in the world where thing. So I think that has an effect on this, you know, so pay versus free. That's it. So I'm sure if you look at pay data still be robust. It's that, you know, the base has changed. And this is all my conjecture, that, you know, we do a baseline, the baseline free is increasing with free going up, pay subsides. And that's so it's not about loyalty. You know, I've heard all kinds of stories that loyalties, you know, people fatigue, teams have changed, all kinds of. I don't think it's all that. I think it's basically something to do with the way the pay versus free is happening, but
so it's a measurement and it's a process thing rather than the Indian public's fascination with the IPL or devotion to the IPL.
Absolutely not. Maybe I'm biased. I'm seeing it through rose-tinted eyes. Cricket is something, you know, India sports is under-leveraged. Globally, sports is 8 to 10% of television, you know, audiences. It's under-leveraged. Suddenly, fatigue can't come in. It's too early to say that fatigue is coming. In fact, if they're close games, it should be more competitive. If Mumbai Indians and CSK are not, you know,
are not on top of the leaderboard,
that means it's more competitive. So there's something else happening. So that should lead to a lot more viewership. So I don't think that is something else fundamentally way the pay-to-free audiences are moving from, you know, 1 year back to now. And if you think of it, most people have not understood this. I'm sure you have. That, you know, IPL last year was in 2 parts. There was the first part and the second part. We're not doing too badly compared to the second part. If you see September, ratings to September, you know, a lot of our clients' audiences were doing better. So, and I know the baseline changed in April. So the reason I'm saying that there's some, you know, when we did a projection because of COVID, there was no field work for the baseline. As you know, sorry for getting technical, you see the data is about 40,000 homes or 45,000 homes. So 4 to 5 people per home is about 2 lakh thing. Now that is extrapolated to the audience 100 crores. So that is the weighting which is on a baseline. That baseline was last done 3-4 years back. So because there was a positive, we said we will extrapolate it. The extrapolation has happened on some logic in March, April last year. So my sense is that is the play which is with this whole free pay which I'm talking about, which is where it's happened.
In March, when you were asked to take over as the chairman of BARC, was that a difficult decision? Because we know the kind of spotlight BARC has been...
Candid, it was very tough. 3 months, Mr. Madhavan was the president of IBDF, reached out to me in November and December. I hung in there. I said, no, I'm not doing it after all what's happened. And I'd run the TechCom. But then finally, request came, all kinds of emotional pressure was put that take it on. So 25th, end of March is when I finally decided to take it on. You know, pressure came from all sides. So that's when I'm back in the hot seat.
What would you say are the key requirements of this role at this point of time, where this industry body is concerned?
So there are 2-3 things. So one is definitely stakeholder management. I mean, you know, I think one of the challenges we have faced in the past is lack of communication and dialogue. You know, I personally believe, and that's got nothing to do with BARC, it's my belief that if you spend time talking to people and, you know, have an open dialogue, listen to anyone, chances are 50% of the problem will go away, which is what there. So I think that without pointing fingers anyway, but that's the heart of the issue. Heart of it is some basic things have to be done, you know, and that's what been my bonnet. Now time will tell whether I'm right or wrong. So I think this method, and BARC is believe me when I say this, perhaps one of the most advanced mechanisms in the world, the way they collect data. But having said that, finally you have to go to a home, you know, you go to a particular kind of a home and you ask them to press the button, you know, and now if someone comes into your home, you're not happy to allow someone to put a meter in. You may allow a meter in, but you're not going to say, I'm going to press the button when I switch on the, you know. So there's a particular profile of people. So, been saying 2-3 things. One is, you know, why can't we extrapolate? So we have enough experience of 10, 12 years, extrapolate data. So look at household level data. Secondly, this whole return path. Today, the you know, DTA is a very big thing. So I'm told it's a technology issue, but if someone did my wish list, I would say...
Isn't that what the government panel also
yes,
advised?
They want. I've been saying it for the last 4-5 years. Even when the Techcom, I didn't have a voice then. I believe I have a voice now. So that I've been a big advocate of RPD for many reasons. Those statisticians will tell me it's not possible, but I think it is the way to go. If I'd be very, very thrilled if I can ensure that RPD is done, you know, we think that's one. Second is which
is there a big cost element to?
There are many, many pulls and pressures. Cost is one. Cost can be overcome, you know, because finally a 25,000 crore industry is running on the back of BARC data. So cost, I'm not when economies of scale come. So cost is not is one issue. There are technology, various kinds of challenges, but I personally feel it's a mindset challenge, you know, as you have to sort that out. That's one. The second, I genuinely believe if you start doing TV plus digital, especially for genres like news, you know, where we're sitting, it'll be a big difference. So I know the CPMs are different, you know, but that doesn't matter. That's a separate matter. See the reach which you will get. The OTT today is such a big thing. We're not measuring OTT. So there is measurement, but it's all third party. So this way, so I think if we can pull off these two things in the next 1 year itself, will be very big. You know, take away from all this, all the mess which is happening on news. A lot of stuff on news, you know, is all distribution driven. So if you see it on Tata Sky or you see it on Airtel, you'll see the numbers. There's no problem.
But when news ratings resumed in March, you know, just a month ago, after being suspended from October 2020, it was such an unusual situation. And I can tell you, I think most of my colleagues who are in charge of running news channels would have been very relieved not to have that data drive them nuts, which it has in the past. What are you making of the ratings and the way what they're capturing today? Because I was just reading reports about some, you know, news broadcasters body making a presentation saying something unusual with channel X, Y, and Z. So
let me put it this way:
the more things change, the more they remain. The more they remain the same.
So I got into this job, at least when I agreed to take on the position, I said at least do something with which I outlined for you, RPD and digital. But unfortunately, the last 2 weeks has been entirely on this whole news because obviously rankings have changed. Positions have changed. Now, ours is not to say who is number one, who is number two. Ours to examine whether the data is right and there's no fooling around with the data. The problem with news, particularly English news, Hindi news also, that the sample pickup is very low. You know? So one is the error and slight amount of interference, you know, whichever is distribution can make a difference. And today it's all... Gone are the days when people would do whatever they do at the house level. Today the game is slightly larger, you know, more sophisticated than the distribution level. Catching that is very difficult for BARC. So what I believe which channel is doing well should not do well, or what BARC CEO believes doesn't matter. It's what the data is coming in. But needless to mention, there's a heavy degree of turbulence. I also empathize, you know. We thought it'll get smoothened out because
the 4-week average.
But what's happened is that it's smoothened out, but the rankings have changed. The incumbents who were then at that point in time, and now there's a different ranking, and that's what it is. But we at it. I mean, we are to best of our ability, we putting the data under stress test. You know, it's under pressure. We cannot opine whether one channel deserves to be number one or not there. But we can ensure whatever pressure we put on the data is something to ensure that there's no fooling around with the data. That's what we're up to.
So this is not yet a area that's fully solved, right? The issues have not fully been resolved.
No, the issues are we had a 6-month, 8-month window to do this. The issues were resolved. But you know, to every provocation you have to react. So you have to first understand what the provocation is. So you know, it's flying. As you yourself said, so I have now started having sleepless nights every Thursday morning when the data comes. I don't know, what is this? I was saying, what's wrong with you? I say, you are most children. What was in the realm of the production, the broadcast companies? I say, what is going to happen today? And protocol demands that I don't see the data. Protocol demands that I don't go in the old days, you know, when BARC started, I would go in there as I had known for various reasons. I have noticed that.
But tell me, Shashi, given your experience in the media business, your long associations with all the stakeholders, you were leading the technical committee, all of that. When this, I'm trying to find polite words, but when this thing exploded, when this BARC controversy exploded the way it did, the police came in, investigations happened, and I'm not going to go into what, where, how, but the fact is you were in the center of it, you were also questioned, right? Did it at some level make you wonder that something is not right in the way all three stakeholders have conducted themselves where ratings are concerned?
I'm fully agreed. I mean, which is why I resisted. It's a very from an image point of view, it's a very large role to happen. From November, when they put pressure, I said no. I mean, I'd refuse. I mean, my wife, of course, one of the key reasons you're not touching this job. But then, so I only got into it. I mean, it took me. I needed dramatic persuasion.
I would imagine.
And it was emotional persuasion, otherwise it would not have worked. So it was dramatic persuasion.
Because this is really about redeeming the credibility, not just of BARC, but of the way this industry functions.
Absolutely. So that's what finally, when I decided exactly what you're saying, I thought that these are the 2-3 things if you do, if you sort this out. But my impression, of course, tomorrow someone will find a new way of cracking it, that if you go to DTH, the numbers are so huge, large, homes are so many, that is very difficult to interfere. And all the interference, I'm not alluding to what happened, but there's interference. So to that, to a great extent, that will get sorted out. And the digital thing, I think TV plus digital is very powerful. But yes, just now we are caught with the here and now of the news ratings coming out 2 weeks, and it's a stressful thing because everyone's claiming that, how can incumbency change?
Is it too early to say that you all will go back to the drawing board at some point where this is concerned? Because how will you address these concerns?
We say we will listen to every suggestion. You see, the one thing which BARC was, people said about BARC was that there was a stone wall saying our data is right, and this is what. So we don't know what the situation is, but any suggestion which comes, any hypothesis which comes, and believe me, and I just say this much, that in the last 2 weeks or whatever the news reading, there's tons of stuff which has come to us. Everything we're examining. The most outlandish, the simplest of solution, simplest of suggestions, the hypothesis, everything we are putting under this thing. Anyone who calls me up, in fact, Nakul, and before coming in, Nakul called me up.
The CEO,
joking.
the BARC CEO.
We were joking. I said, listen, what are the rules of engagement? So he said, because you take everyone's phone call, everyone calls you. I said, you tell me. So for the time being, I'm not going to stop that because I don't want to give the feeling that we are not listening.
Let's now talk about this announcement that came out of IPG Media Brands, which is Nandini Das, your very esteemed colleague, the CEO of Lodestar for so long, wanting to move on and do something else. What does that mean for Lodestar? What does it mean for IPG Media Brands? What does it mean for you going forward?
So, at a personal level, we have worked together for 27 years. So it's obviously there is the change. It's a dramatic change. When she told me in January end or whatever. And if you notice, all this happened in the same month as the BARC thing also. So it's all coming, pouring from all sides. So it was personally, obviously part of me going away. That's there. But fortunately for us, we are very well equipped. And I must share this with you. My leadership team, there are 9 of us now. 5 women, 4 men, me included. And the person, firstly, let me start with the person who's replacing Nandini, the girl called Aditi Mishra.
Yes.
She's been day one with us, management trainee from IPG Ghaziabad, started in 95 with us, and now, she's taking over. She knows the company. She was a strategic role. So she's grown from within. Then Initiative, the other brand, big brand Initiative, girl who runs it, Vaishali Verma. She's been with us more than 26 years. Again, she started together. The third, we've restructured, using the opportunity to restructure the company. So we have created an investment team at the media brand level, a girl called Hema Malik. She also has started about 25 years back in the company. And
so they're all
insiders.
Insiders.
And then
they know exactly how the
I know. And the beauty
runs.
is they have a mentor called Anamika Mehta who doesn't like to be in front, but she's there. She's done wonderful work. In fact, she's done with your channel on the Harpic, Pani. So she's
Mission
done,
Pani.
Mission Pani. So she's their mentor. She's there. So in a way, they're very bonded. And the other interesting thing is we took over a digital company in 2012 or 13, Interactive Avenues. So you would never find this in our industry. Those 2 founders who stayed with us, Amar Deep Singh and Shantanu Siroi, are still there today running the company. So
in most cases, the founders of the smaller acquired agencies
2, 3 years, 4 years,
Yeah.
these guys have been there now, what, 9 years, 10 years. So I'm happy to say that's a very stable team.
Well, Shashi, thank you for coming in, dropping by.
pleasure,
This
always
was
a pleasure.
wonderful. And thank you, as usual, for a really insightful and candid conversation. I wish you a lot of good luck.
Thank you. I need all the luck at this point in time for both the jobs. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you very much for watching. Catch Media Dialogues again with another conversation next week. See you.
Media Dialogues in 2022.